Everyone in the Orbital Sky Academy knew one name, Elira Voss, the rebel daughter of the richest and most powerful man in the system. She walked through the shining halls like she owned the entire station, and maybe she did, because no one ever stopped her. Everyone feared her cruel smile, her sharp eyes, and the strange gloves she always wore, gloves that glowed with faint alien symbols whenever she got angry. Students whispered stories about her power. Some said she once threw a metal bench across the training hall without touching it. Others said she hacked into a security gate using only her mind. Whatever the truth was, one thing stayed the same. Nobody dared to look into her eyes, because Elira Voss was dangerous. But one person never reacted the way others did. His name was Jace, a simple janitor who cleaned the academy floors every night. He moved quietly, sweeping corridors, fixing broken lights, and emptying trash units. Most people ignored him, and he liked it that way. Elira, however, hated being ignored. One evening, the academy hosted a special training test for elite students. Elira arrived late as usual, walking slowly, letting her boots echo through the hall so that everyone knew she was coming. The trainer greeted her nervously. His hands shook as he spoke. Elira smiled at that fear. She enjoyed it. During the test, a young student named Myra accidentally bumped into Elira while running for her assigned station. Everyone froze in fear. Elira's eyes narrowed, and the glowing lines on her gloves flickered like fire. "You dare touch me!" Elira whispered, though the entire hall heard her. Myra trembled. "I'm sorry, it was an accident." Elira lifted Myra into the air with a sudden force that burst from her gloves. The energy crackled like electricity. Myra screamed as she floated helplessly. Students backed away, afraid to even breathe. Elira stepped closer, enjoying Myra's terror. "Maybe I should teach you how to walk properly," she said softly, and the energy tightened around the girl. But someone else was watching. Someone who didn't run away, didn't hide, didn't fear her. Jace, the janitor, stood in the shadow of the hall, his broom resting against his shoulder, his eyes calm, steady, and unshaken. He watched the scene with a quiet expression, like he had seen far worse in his life. When Elira noticed him, she frowned, her gloves flickered again, but this time the light pulsed strangely, as if reacting to his presence. "Who is that?" she muttered, releasing Myra suddenly. The girl fell, cushioned by a student who caught her. Elira walked toward the janitor, anger burning in every step. Students whispered behind her, shocked that she even cared about someone so insignificant. She stopped in front of Jace, glaring at him. "Did you enjoy the show?" she asked, her voice cold. Jace looked at her without fear. "Hurting students is not a show," he said quietly. The entire hall gasped. No one spoke to Elira like that. No one corrected her, no one challenged her. Elira's eyes widened, not with anger, but with confusion. She expected fear, trembling, crying. But the janitor's calm voice made something inside her twist uncomfortably. "Do you know who I am?" she asked slowly. "Yes," Jace replied, "and that does not change what I saw." For the first time in her life, Elira Voss felt something unfamiliar, a feeling she could not name. It wasn't fear, it wasn't anger, it was something colder, something sharper, like a warning from deep inside her mind. Her gloves flickered again, but the light stuttered, glitching as if the technology inside was losing control. Elira stepped back slightly, her eyes locked on Jace. "There is something wrong with you," she said, almost whispering. "You are not afraid." Jace didn't answer. He simply picked up his broom again and continued sweeping the floor like nothing had happened. Elira stood frozen, watching him, her heart beating faster than she wanted to admit. Later that night, Elira couldn't sleep. She replayed the moment again and again, that calm look in the janitor's eyes, no fear, no respect, no shock, just quiet judgment. No one had ever looked at her like that. She slammed her fist against her desk, and the alien symbols on her gloves glowed bright for a moment before flickering again, weaker this time, like the device was trying to warn her. "That janitor," she whispered. "Who is he really?" For the first time in her life, Elira felt the need to search for answers, not because of curiosity, but because of fear of the unknown. And deep in the academy's lower deck, Jace walked through the dark storage tunnel, his expression calm as always, but when he passed a security screen, the scanner glitched and failed to read his identity. Jace didn't stop. He didn't even look at the malfunctioning device. It happened often around him, and he was used to it. The secrets he carried were far older and far darker than Elira Voss could ever imagine. And soon, their paths would clash again, in a way that would shake the entire orbital city. Elira Voss arrived at the academy early the next morning, something she never did. Her eyes scanned every corridor, every doorway, every group of students whispering nervously. She wasn't looking for trouble today, she was looking for one person. Jace, the janitor. Her steps echoed through the bright metallic halls as she walked with sharp focus. Students moved aside quickly, afraid of her sudden determination. Elira ignored all of them. She only cared about finding the man who had stood against her without fear. But he was nowhere, not in the training rooms, not in the cafeteria, not in the gravity gym, not even where the cleaning bots were stored. It made her angry, but it also made her uneasy. The academy was huge, but a janitor should not be this difficult to track. "Why can't I find him?" she muttered under her breath. Her gloves flickered again, sending tiny sparks into the air. The alien symbols glowed and dimmed, almost like a heartbeat out of rhythm. Elira frowned, tapping the device lightly, but the light only glitched more. She hated when things made no sense. Meanwhile, deep in the lower maintenance levels, Jace walked through a narrow maintenance tunnel. The lights above him flickered strangely as he passed, like they were reacting to him. He carried his small toolkit, moving with quiet purpose. He knew Elira would look for him. He knew she was too proud and too curious to forget what happened. But he had work to do, work far more important than arguments with arrogant girls. Jace reached a locked panel marked classified, authorized staff only. He placed his hand on the scanner, and for a moment the system tried to read him. The screen flashed red, then glitched, then suddenly turned green. Access granted. Jace stepped inside, the heavy door sliding shut behind him. Inside the room stood an old machine, older than the academy itself, humming softly with forgotten power. Jace checked the readings, watching for unusual signals, especially the ones that reacted to alien energy. And the readings had gone wild last night. Meanwhile, Elira entered the administrative building, something she never did unless she wanted to bully the staff. She knocked once on the door of Captain Rylan, the academy's security chief, then opened it without waiting. Captain Rylan stood up immediately, startled. "Miss Voss, what can I do for you?" "I need information about a janitor," Elira said sharply. "His name is Jace." Rylan blinked in confusion. "Why would you?" Elira slammed her hand on his desk, the gloves flashing brightly before dimming again. "Do not ask questions," she said coldly. "Just give me his file." Rylan swallowed hard and typed the name into the security system. The screen loaded, then froze, then blinked. Error. He tried again. Error. He frowned. Strange. The system isn't recognizing him. Elira leaned closer. "What do you mean?" "He works here." Rylan shook his head slowly. "According to the system, he doesn't exist." Elira felt a chill run across her skin. For the first time in a long time, she didn't know what to say. She left the office without another word, her mind racing. Her gloves flickered more violently now, sending small sparks running across her fingers. She didn't notice, she only thought about the janitor with calm eyes, and the fact that no system could read him. Something was wrong, something big. Back in the maintenance chamber, Jace finished adjusting the machine settings. He stared at a small glowing symbol that matched the one on Elira's gloves. He sighed softly. "So the Voss family finally found it," he whispered. "This is going to be a problem." He closed the panel and stepped out into the dark corridor, moving quietly as always. But Elira was already moving toward the lower decks. She didn't care about rules or warnings. She was the daughter of Etern Voss, and she could go anywhere she wanted. When she reached the maintenance level, the lights above her flickered strangely, almost as if reacting to her emotions. The hall looked abandoned, quiet, too quiet. Then she heard footsteps, calm, steady, gentle. Jace stepped out from the shadows, carrying his toolkit. He didn't look surprised to see her, not even a little. "Elira Voss," he said quietly, "you shouldn't be down here." She glared at him, trying to keep her voice steady. "Who are you?" "A janitor," he replied, picking up his broom. "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "The system has no record of you, the machines glitch around you, and my gloves, they act strange whenever you're near." Jace paused, his eyes meeting hers, calm as ever. "Maybe your gloves are the problem," he said softly. Elira stepped forward. "Tell me what you know." Jace didn't answer. Instead, he started walking past her, sweeping the floor like nothing mattered. Elira reached out to grab his arm, but the moment her glowing glove touched his sleeve, the alien symbols flared brightly, then burst in a shower of sparks. Elira gasped, stumbling backward. The glove flickered wildly, pulsing with unstable power. Jace looked at it with a sad, knowing expression. That device was never meant for someone like you, he said quietly. And if you keep using it, it will destroy you, and maybe this entire station. Elira stared at him, shock freezing her in place. Jace continued walking away, leaving her alone in the flickering corridor, her heart pounding with fear she didn't understand. For the first time in her life, Elira Voss felt truly powerless. Elira waited in the silent corridor long after Jace disappeared, her heart beat too fast, and her gloves glowed weakly like fading embers. She hated this feeling. She hated being confused. She hated not having control. But most of all, she hated that a simple janitor had walked away from her like she was nothing. She clenched her fists, but the gloves only flickered, disobeying her. The alien energy inside felt unstable, wild, almost afraid. It made her shiver. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. But in the shadows above the pipes, a pair of strange blue sparks blinked to life, watching her quietly. Something else in the station had sensed the alien energy, something Jace already knew about, and something Elira was completely unaware of. Meanwhile, Jace returned to the classified chamber, sealing the door behind him. He opened the ancient machine again, watching the energy pulses move across the glowing symbols. They were reacting faster now, stronger, more dangerous. "Her gloves are waking it up," he murmured. "This is not good." He pressed a sequence of buttons on the control panel that no one else in the academy even knew existed. The machine hummed louder, as if answering his commands. Jace leaned closer. "I thought the Voss family abandoned this project decades ago," he whispered. "So why does their daughter have a piece of it?" The lights flickered again, the machine flashing a warning signal. Jace stared at it with calm but heavy eyes. "Elira is in danger," he said softly, "and she doesn't even know from what." Up above, Elira stormed back through the academy halls. But this time she didn't walk with pride or arrogance. She walked with frustration, fear, and a burning need for answers. She reached the training hall where Myra, the girl she attacked last night, sat with a bandage on her arm. Myra froze when Elira entered, every student around her stepping away immediately, creating a silent circle of fear. Elira ignored them. She approached Myra slowly, her gloves dim and flickering. "I want to ask you something," Elira said, her voice strangely calm. Myra trembled. About last night. Please, I didn't tell anyone." Elira shook her head. "I don't care about last night," she said quietly. "I need to know if you ever saw the janitor before." "Jace." Myra blinked, confused by the question. "Jace? Everyone sees him, but no one talks to him." Elira leaned closer. "Think carefully." Myra hesitated, then whispered, "I saw him yesterday morning too, but I think—" She stopped, unsure. Elira frowned. "Speak." Myra swallowed. "I think the hallway sensors glitched when he walked by." Elira's heart skipped a beat. She remembered how her gloves had reacted to him. She remembered how the lights had flickered when she followed him. Everything pointed to one thing. Jace wasn't normal. As she turned to leave, a sudden alarm blared through the academy. Red lights flashed on the walls. Students panicked. Teachers shouted for order. Security bots activated instantly. Elira's eyes widened. The alarm was not for fire or breach. It was an energy overflow alert, something extremely rare and extremely dangerous. Without thinking, Elira ran toward the sound. Her gloves crackled as she moved, reacting to the rising energy. She reached the main reactor corridor, where the walls vibrated with unstable pulses. Security officers rushed around, shouting orders, trying to stabilize the power grid. Sparks flew from the ceiling, lights flickered wildly, and deep inside the chamber, a glowing beam of alien light shot upward like a column of fire. Elira stepped forward, her eyes widening. "No, this can't be from me." But she felt it in her bones. The energy was the same as her gloves, the same as the alien symbols she carried. Then someone appeared from the smoke, walking calmly through the chaotic scene. "Jace." Elira stared at him, shocked. He didn't look scared, not even worried. He walked straight to the control panel and typed in codes faster than any engineer on the station. The officers shouted at him, "You! Stop! You're not authorized." But the system responded instantly to him. Lights stabilized slightly, alarms softened, and the energy beam dimmed. Elira rushed to him. "Stop ignoring me and tell me what is going on." Jace didn't turn to her. He pressed another button, redirecting energy. The machine thumped like a heartbeat, calming down. Finally, he looked at her, his calm eyes sharp in the flashing red light. "Your gloves are activating something powerful," he said quietly. something that was never meant for the academy. Elira shook her head. My father gave these to me. They're a family project. Jace gave her a long, heavy look. Your father lied, he said softly. These devices were created from alien ruins found long before you were born. They were too dangerous to use, too unstable, and the project was shut down. Elira stepped back, her mouth opening slightly. She didn't want to believe him. She hated believing him. But everything she had seen matched his words. Why do they react to you? She whispered. Why does everything malfunction when you are near? Jace didn't answer. He turned back to the machine, typing another sequence. The energy beam finally faded completely, leaving the room in trembling silence. Elira stared at him, feeling fear, curiosity, and anger mix inside her chest. You're not a janitor, she said in a quiet voice. You're hiding something. Jace met her eyes, and for the first time, Elira saw something new in his expression. Not calm, not stern, but sad, almost regretful. You're right, he said quietly. I'm not a normal janitor. Elira held her breath, waiting for an explanation. But Jace only whispered, and the truth is going to change everything. Elira followed Jace out of the reactor corridor, her steps quick, her breath uneven. She didn't care that security officers stared at her or that alarms still hummed softly in the background. The only thing she cared about was the truth he refused to share. When they reached a quiet maintenance hallway, Jace stopped walking. He stood still, his back straight, his hands resting calmly on the handle of his broom. Elira felt her heart pound, a strange, nervous excitement mixing with anger. Why did you stop? She demanded. Because you won't leave until you get answers, Jace said calmly, and this is far enough from other people. The lights above them flickered again, but this time Elira noticed something she hadn't before. The lights didn't flicker when she moved, they flickered when Jace moved. A chill ran through her skin. Tell me who you are, Elira said, stepping closer. You said my father lied. You said the gloves were never meant to be used, and you knew how to stop that energy surge. Jace looked at her, his eyes steady and deep. Your father kept secrets from you, Elira, dangerous secrets. Elira clenched her fists. Stop talking like you know everything. Jace's voice stayed calm, almost gentle. I don't know everything, but I know enough to tell you this is not a game. The alien symbols on her gloves flickered again, reacting to her rising emotion. Little sparks shot out, and Elira flinched, trying to hide the pain. Jace stepped closer. Your gloves are unstable because they are incomplete. Elira frowned, shocked. Incomplete? Yes, Jace replied. They are only one piece of a larger device, a device your family recovered from an alien ruin long ago. Elira shook her head. My father said these were prototypes, training tools, nothing more. Jace sighed softly. Your father lied for your protection, or maybe for his power, I don't know. Elira felt anger rise like fire inside her chest. Anger at her father, anger at Jace, anger at everything that made no sense. She hated secrets, she hated being treated like a child. Stop speaking in riddles, she hissed. Tell me what these gloves actually do. Jace hesitated, then raised his hand, tracing the air near her gloves without touching them. The symbols glowed brighter, responding to him, not her. These gloves do not give you power, he said quietly. They feed on your power. Elira froze. Feed on me. Jace nodded. Every time you use them, they take a part of your life energy. They drain you slowly. That is why you feel weaker, why they flicker, why the device reacted in the reactor chamber. Elira stepped back, shaking her head violently. No, no, that can't be true. Jace's voice softened. It is. Elira felt her legs weaken. She grabbed the railing beside her, breathing hard. The gloves pulsed once, almost like a heartbeat, but not hers. I would know, Jace added quietly, because I have seen these devices before. Elira looked up sharply, her eyes wide. Where? Jace closed his eyes for a moment, then whispered, on a battlefield, where humans fought to protect their world from the same alien species your father tried to study. Elira stared at him, stunned silent. You were a soldier, she whispered. No, Jace said. Something older, something different. Before she could ask more, a sudden tremor shook the hallway. The floor vibrated, lights flashed red, and a metallic screech echoed through the walls. Elira gasped. What was that? Jace's expression sharpened instantly. Something else woke up. The sound came again, louder this time, like metal tearing. Elira's heart raced as she felt a strange energy crawling up her spine. The gloves glowed again, but this time the symbols weren't reacting to her emotion, they were reacting to something outside. Then a ceiling panel dropped behind them with a loud crash. A swirling blue light flickered inside the dark vent, twisting like a living thing. Elira stumbled back. "What is that?" Jace stared at the blue light with grim eyes. "A signal," he whispered. "Something has found the gloves." Elira felt sweat form on her palms. Something alien. Jace didn't answer, but the look in his eyes was enough. The swirling blue light pulsed stronger, casting shadows that danced across the walls. Elira felt the gloves vibrate, pulling her hand forward without her control. "Help me!" she shouted, trying to pull her arm back. Jace grabbed her wrist firmly, forcing her back. The glove hissed with unstable power, sparks bursting around their hands. "You must not let it connect," Jace warned sharply. "If it links with the gloves, the whole station will feel it." Elira screamed as the energy pulled harder, like invisible strings trying to drag her toward the vent. Her body strained, her muscles burning. Jace held on with surprising strength, his face tense. The lights above them shattered one by one, showering sparks across the floor. Finally, with one strong pull, he yanked her backward, away from the blue light. The vent snapped shut abruptly, the glow vanishing like it was never there. Elira collapsed to the floor, breathing heavily, her gloves steaming from the overload. Jace crouched beside her, his voice low but steady. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The gloves have activated a beacon." Elira looked up at him, fear in her eyes. A beacon for what? Jace stared at the dark ceiling where the blue light had vanished, his voice barely above a whisper. A beacon for something that should never return. Elira lay on the cold floor, still breathing fast, her gloves glowing with a weak, broken light. She felt small, shaken, and more frightened than she had ever been in her life. The academy around her suddenly felt too big, too dark, too full of secrets she never understood. Jace stood above her, silent, watching the lingering smoke fade from the smashed lights. His calm face looked different now, harder, older, like he carried memories far heavier than she could imagine. Elira forced herself to sit up. "You need to explain," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What was that thing inside the vent? Why did it try to pull me in?" Jace didn't answer right away. He looked down the hall as if expecting something else to appear. Only when he felt the danger pass did he kneel beside her. "That was a hunter signal," he said quietly. "A fragment of alien technology searching for its missing piece." Elira stared at him in disbelief. "You mean, it was looking for my gloves?" "Not just the gloves," Jace said. "It was looking for whoever wears them." Elira felt a wave of fear wash over her. "Why me?" Jace took a slow breath. "Because the gloves respond to life energy, they bond to the strongest source they can find, and right now, that source is you." Elira shook her head. No, I didn't ask for any of this, I just wanted people to respect me." Jace's eyes softened for a moment. "Respect built on fear is nothing but a cage," he said quietly. "And now that cage has opened a door you cannot close alone." Elira looked away, her throat tight. She had never felt so exposed, so powerless. "What are you?" she whispered. "You said you're not a normal janitor, so what are you really?" Jace hesitated, then slowly stood, as if carrying the weight of his own truth. He walked toward a small maintenance door and opened it with a code that didn't exist on any academy records. Elira followed him inside, her heart pounding. The room beyond was unlike anything she had seen in the station. Old metal crates sat in rows, covered in dust, glowing symbols flickered softly on ancient screens, and at the center stood a tall capsule-shaped device humming with faint blue energy. Elira froze. "What is this?" Jace touched the capsule gently. "This is where I woke up," he said quietly. Elira felt her legs weaken again. "Woke up? What are you saying?" Jace turned to her, his calm eyes finally revealing something deeper, something human but also not. "I am not from the academy," he said. "I was placed here long ago when humanity fought the same alien species your family discovered." Elira swallowed hard. "You're a soldier." "No," Jace said softly. "I was part of a hidden program meant to protect humans from alien signals. I was trained to sense them, stop them, and if necessary, destroy them." Elira looked at the glowing capsule, trying to understand. "So you were sleeping? Waiting?" Jace nodded slowly, waiting for the beacon to activate again. Elira shivered. "Because of the gloves?" "Yes," Jace said. When you used them the first time, the energy was small, but last night, it reached the old systems buried inside this station, and that woke the beacon. Elira stepped back in fear, the gloves flickering weakly. So I caused all of this. Jace shook his head. Not on purpose, he said, but intentions do not change consequences. Elira felt tears sting her eyes. She had never cried in front of anyone, never shown weakness, but now she couldn't stop it. I didn't know, she whispered. I never knew what these were. I just wanted to feel strong. Jace's voice softened again. You are strong, Elira, he said, but your strength was never meant to come from alien power. Elira looked down at her shaking hands. Then help me stop it, she said, please. Jace finally nodded, the first sign of agreement she had seen from him. I will, he said, but you must listen, and you must trust me. Elira nodded quickly, wiping her eyes. Tell me what to do. Jace stepped closer and examined the gloves carefully without touching them. We must shut down the beacon before the full signal reaches the alien source, he explained. If the source receives your location, it will come. Elira's heart pounded. Come here? To the station. Yes, Jace said, and it will not come peacefully. Suddenly, the room shook violently, the floor rumbled beneath them, screens flickered, and a piercing alien tone echoed through the metal walls like a scream. Elira grabbed the wall, panicking. What was that? Jace looked at the ceiling, his eyes narrowing. The signal just strengthened. The capsule behind him lit up completely for the first time, bathing the room in a blue glow. The machines roared to life, responding to the alien connection. Elira looked at Jace with desperation. Is it too late? Jace turned to her, his voice low but firm. It will be too late if we don't move now. Elira stepped forward, fear and determination burning inside her. Then where do we go? Jace pointed at a hidden door behind the capsule, a path no student or teacher had ever seen. To the heart of the station, he said, where your gloves were awakened, and where we must shut them down. Elira swallowed her fear and nodded. Jace opened the hidden door, blue light pouring out like a storm waiting to be unleashed. Stay close, he said quietly. From this point on, everything becomes dangerous. Elira followed him into the glowing passage, her hands trembling, her heart racing. Because now she understood the truth. Her rebellion had awakened something far bigger than herself. And the only person who could help her stop it was the strange janitor who wasn't human at all.